Welcome to Let's Just Play. We're going to do our top 10 games to bring on a road trip.
I left a smile on.
Now you count us in then.
Top 10 board games for a road trip.
Okay.
Let's jump into it.
I'm going to start with my number 10. My number 10 is Catchphrase, which is a really old game, but I think super fun. We have it somewhere. So these are games to bring on a road trip, and specifically I chose Catchphrase because it's an actual game you can play in the car while you're moving, and the driver can participate as well. So if you're not familiar with the game, you have like a little device. You press a button and it gives you a word, and you're just trying to get everybody else to guess the word without saying it. And so it's a good way to kill an hour just passing it around the car, and a way to enjoy each other without having like screens or a lot of fighting in the car. So I chose Catchphrase.
Yeah, there's a digital electronic version, but there's also an old school one that we found at a thrift store. My number 10 is Targi, which is a 2-player tiny game that's pretty fun. You get a ton of replayability from it, and part of why I picked it was it's trying to pick a variety of games, and it's a good 2-player worker placement game.
Mostly just adults, probably.
Yeah, just adults.
Yeah. So for like family car trips, maybe that would be one you play when the kids go to bed.
Yeah.
My number 9 is Exploding Kittens. Again, so family road trip. Not necessarily everybody's cup of tea, but I think it's really fun. Our kids really enjoy it. It's a good, silly way to end the day of a long time of driving or a long time of sightseeing, walking around. Just a way to unwind without being overly thinky.
Yeah, it's a good one. Our kids love it. Second Chance is my number 9, which is a flip and right, and it's just tiny. We land.
Call it flipping right?
I don't know. It's a roll. It's kind of like a roll, right? No, I think it's a thing. But it's we laminate some of the sheets, and so you just bring markers, and then you just need the deck of cards.
Do you have your folder?
It's over there. I can grab it. But it's again tiny, easy, simple, and requires very little. So it's good to take on a travel.
It also, I think, could be good. Like it, we've only ever played it with adults, but
yeah,
it's got. He's gonna go get his folder.
Like it.
Yeah, it's like Tetris style shapes, like little blocks, and you just have to shade it in, and you're trying to fill your whole grid. Not much more game to that, other than when you get later on in the game, you might not be able to fit something, so you get a second chance and get to flip a card, basically.
Very simple.
Okay, my number 8. Wait, have I just been starting?
Either way.
My number 8 is Telestrations. So I'm trying to have some variety on my list of types of games, and I don't have any, like, this is one of the purely like creative drawing ones that are always fun. I don't know if I've ever had a bad time playing Telestrations. It goes beyond Pictionary, right? Like where it's just you're getting someone to guess something. It's like more fun if you're bad at drawing. It's more fun if they don't get it right. That's part of the game, right? Is to like see how funny it is by the end. So we always have a really good time, and our kids are now just getting to the point where they can enjoy this game and play it. And again, you could totally play this in the car. Not that you have to play any of all of these games in the car or anything, but it is, again, a really fun way to like kill an hour or so of the drive. The driver obviously wouldn't be able to play, but the kids in the back seat would sure have a good time playing Telestrations.
Just pass around the little books.
Yeah, pass around your little dry erase boards or books. You have the markers if you're bringing them, for anything else.
Yeah, it's good one. My number 7, 10, 9, 8 is One Night Ultimate Werewolf. So it's a good family one. And again, it's just a tiny amount of space. It's a social deduction game. I was thinking about it as you were speaking. I wonder if you could almost play it in the car. The driver wouldn't be able to play because there's like a little bit of a night round. You have to close your eyes.
You'd have to close your eyes.
You couldn't do it as a driver, but
you also have to like move people's things, so it'd be hard to play in the car.
Yeah. So it's not a car game, but it is super fun and super small, which is the biggest thing I'm going for here.
I also like this one because like sometimes people are worried about traveling with their games because how hard traveling can be on their games. With like jamming them in the car, especially if you're like, this is a road trip, so you're traveling with a lot of things in your car. But you could very easily take out the tiles from One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and you have an app and tiles, and that's it. And the tiles are, chunky cardboard. They're probably not going to get hurt. So I think that that's a good option for just like safety, treating your games like in a road trip.
Yeah. And I like games for road trips that you can take out of their core box and shrink down.
He's always doing that. It drives me a little crazy. Okay, my number 7. So we actually just got back from a road trip today, a few hours ago, and we played this one on our road trip. Railroad Inc. is a really fun one. It just has 4 dice, and then a few boards, railroad boards, and then your markers. And so it's a very small game. You can play it in your lap. You could play it. Most of my games are not necessarily meant to be played in the car, but like you never know where you're going to end up that night. So I mean, like if you plan, you do, but like you might end up in a hotel with like a coffee table, or you might end up in an Airbnb or a Vrbo with like a big house. Maybe you're camping. Like there's a lot of different ways you could be spending your evenings, and Railroad Inc. is a good way to like do that with very little square footage, not only in packing the car and in your board game bag, but also in playing the game itself.
Yeah, good one. My number 7 is Pictionary, which is similar to Telestrations, but we also like to take it in like drawstring bags. We'll just have a little dry erase board, and we'll just play it on the go in lines that amusement parks. I mean, really anywhere. You're waiting at a restaurant, whip it out, and then there's you can just take your phone and say, "Give me a Pictionary word." And
so yeah, Pictionary is a good one to do for the different activities on your road trip. So we went on a road trip to Universal, and you could play it in line there. Like you're waiting several hours in line sometimes. If you're waiting to be seated at a restaurant, or you're just waiting for food, sometimes that's a really great way to spend your time or to distract the kids from being hungry. Yeah, I think that's a good one for the activities that you're doing on a road trip.
Yeah.
My number 6 is Sushi Go. This is probably one of the more gamey games that like I would play as a family, like any generation of person, really. Like it's really easy. It's a drafting game, so it feels a little gamier than some of the other ones that I have on here. But it's like you don't have to think very hard. Like you've been doing a lot that day. It doesn't take up almost any spaces, just cards. And so you can just like draft cards and chat and, have coffee or a drink or whatever, after your day of like working really hard at having fun. But yeah, so I think that that's a really nice, simple, cozy game for me.
Yeah. So I think basically any roll and write or flip and write or whatever works well here. So that's what I got. My next one, it's Quicks. It's could be played by pretty much anyone. Again, it's super small. I'll show you my binder here in a second. and honestly, it uses regular dice. So
you shouldn't though, because you need them to have color.
Right, but you could bring those dice and then use them for Yahtzee and other games. Listen, I brought Yahtzee on this trip as well, but I didn't bring any dice for it because we had Quicks dice.
Yeah, Eric likes to take 10 games and merge them into one box all the time.
Try to.
Okay, my number 5 is Sea Salt and Paper. Again, super cozy game, just a deck of cards, but it seems, I don't know, it has a lot going for it. Like we, got it 2 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
And it's been a favorite. Like it's a pocket game. Like you can throw it in, not women's pockets usually, but like, maybe a sweatshirt pocket. Or it's a purse game, or whatever. So you can play it. It's just like a couple of cards at a time. You don't have a big, handful of cards or anything. So we really, not usually, but every person we played it with, and we traveled to New York City and met up with some friends and stuff there and introduced it there and played in the hotel lobby. Like you can play this anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the car, but that's okay. So yeah, it just very little square footage, very fun. You get a lot of bang for your buck. Like you're not going to bring a big beefy game probably to spend 3 hours playing on your vacation nights, but this is an easy one to get into and out of.
Yeah.
I think.
Solid. So I have tried to hit on in these 10 games just a bunch of different categories. so that when you're traveling and you have a hankering for something, you could play it. And this one is both a cooperative game and a trick-taking game, which is The Crew. Again, it's a card game that you work together to capture tricks and accomplish missions. And it's pretty fun and takes up very little room.
I like The Crew a lot. Yeah, the cooperative part of it is really fun. And if you know cards and you get card taking or trick taking strategy, like it's really fun. We haven't played this one with kids yet, but with all the adults we played it with, it's been really
I think it'd be hard for the kids yet because they're still learning trick taking.
Yeah.
And so the planning of it would probably be challenging.
My number 4 is a social. I don't even think it's like a deception game. It wouldn't be a social deduction game, I don't think. But probably the smallest one that exists, Love Letter. So you have a little sack, a little bag, and then you can have your cubes, but you don't need to. And then how many cards is it? 12?
Is it 13?
13? A number of cards that is
many.
Predetermined.
Or 16? Doesn't matter.
And it's super fun. It's very simple, but also, again, like very fun. It's not even silly, but like it is a little strategic. I don't know. It's just, it's a good game. It gives me something different than the other cozy games do in its simplicity and its feel like you pull one over on people. Like it's kind of a gotcha game. At least the people like our kids and stuff who have played it, really get a kick out of getting us out, and we talk about what it means to write like what their interpretation of a really good love letter is. Yeah. And so I always have a really good time playing it with whoever, but Love Letter's a good one.
It's tiny. I just forgot about it, or else it'd probably be on my list. My next one is a deck building game, and it's not the classic Dominion. It's Valley of the Kings. I keep looking over here because I keep thinking that they're over here, but we packed all these for our trip, so none of them are where they normally are. But Valley of the Kings is a it's a deck building game where you're building. You have a pyramid that you get cards from, and it crumbles down as you pull them. And it's just really good, and it fits into a small little box. So
I don't think I put this one on my list because it's the type of game where you're getting your engine building, and then the game ends before you get like a satisfactory turn out of it. So I always feel like I start the like entombing, I think they call it, entombing my cards. I always start that way too late. So I have my engine going, and then it's like, hey, there's one round left, and I like barely have entombed anything. So it's a very tight tension game. Like you just never feel like you have enough time. So I enjoy the game when we play it, but I didn't include it on my top 10 because I felt frustrated by it. More. My number 3 is The Crew. So for all the same reasons Eric said, it's fun because it's cooperative. It's just cards. It changes every round. You're like trying to achieve a larger, like you're doing all the missions. So you're working towards like a larger goal, which I find fun. You can stop whenever you want. It's not like where you have to, like everyone's tired and they want to go to bed, but the game's not over yet. Like you can stop whenever you want. So I like that too for, those tired travel nights.
Yeah. 50 different missions or something. It's fun. Mm-hmm. My number 3 is The Bloody Inn, which we don't own, but we enjoy playing every time. I know when we traveled someplace, the couple we were going with, they just packed it into some like Ziploc bags.
Okay, my number 2 is Castles of Burgundy. It's a roll and write game. But still rolling right. Okay. And I have like really fond memories of playing this game on a cruise, I think, or at least a game like it, but I want to say it was this game. And Eric, as he'll show you maybe here in a second, has laminated like a bunch of the sheets and everything, so you can have infinite plays on it. But I really like it because it's just like a sheet and then a few dice. But I have just really fond memories of sitting out on a balcony on our cruise while our kid was sleeping in the room at night with a tiny little circular table next to us, the sea breeze like in front of us. It was really peaceful and just like playing this game while relaxing and trying not to disturb our 1-year-old at the time's sleep. So
yeah, and that was my number 2 as well.
Oh, cool.
The same thing. It's also we really like Castles of Burgundy, the big game, so it kind of gives us that feel. but in a smaller box, and it's just got a little bit of crunch to it, even though it's just a dice game.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Another game where I feel like I never have quite enough turns. Like I always want that one half of a turn left or something.
Right.
You know? And then my number 1 is probably nothing anybody would be expecting, but I have such a good time when I play this social party game. Time's Up Title Recall.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Not necessarily with every group that I play with, and you definitely have to be like traveling with others or have a big enough family to play this. But we play it with my sister and her partner, and have just super fun time all the time, like just almost peeing because you're laughing so hard. And we've made the game longer and added more rounds to it just because we always have such a good time. So
yeah, it's always a great time, but it is somewhat group dependent, and we wouldn't take it with just the 4 of us. My
father hates the game and, you know, cursed the entire group because we made him play it. So it was maybe not something you bring for every single person.
Yeah. My number 1 is Sea Salt and Paper for all the same reasons. It's small. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, everybody we've introduced it to has liked it, so it's a good time. And then, as promised, I have a binder, and basically, as mentioned, any roll and write really basically works well for a travel game because it just takes up so little room. I've got just some markers, some random cards for the different games, cartographers, second chance. Here's my promised quick dice. And then you just have to laminate the different roll and write things. And I don't know, this is like 8 games right here. Catan, the dice game, second chance, quicks, Yahtzee. So
it is useful, cool. Although like it is to me a little annoying to have to pack it and repack it and put it back in the original games.
Yeah. So
maybe worth just like buying some extra dice and stuff like maybe. I guess you wouldn't want to 3D print it. I'm not sure how good they.
Yeah. I don't know, but.
Anyways, so if you're interested in any of those games for your road trip, I think just about all of them. Take all 10 of them; they'll fit into a little canvas tote bag or whatever.
That's all we brought for our trip was a tote bag, and we probably had.
We didn't even play all the games.
15 games, yeah.
So. Thank you for joining us for the top 10. Don't forget to like and subscribe below if you want to see more of videos like this. Have a good one. Catch you next time.
Bye.